Hello, great. Sorry I'm not there with you today, but I just got this short video for you to go through today's lesson where we're talking about dividing quantity in a given ratio. We're still working with ratios like we were working with on Tuesday, but now instead of just simplifying the ratio, we're trying to actually do something with the ratio. Our questions today will look a bit like this. When Gia and Ben divide $20 in the ratio 3 to 2, for every $3 given to Gina, $2 is given to Ben. And we want to know how much does each person get out of the $20. Our steps for answering these questions are always going to be the same. If you've got a ratio of 3 to 2, you have 3 parts and you have 2 parts, which means in total you have 5 parts. That's always going to be our first step. How many total parts do we have in the ratio? Once we know that there are 5 total parts, we can look at the total amount of money, $20, divide it by the total number of parts, and that will tell us how much each part of the ratio is worth. So for each part of this 3 to 2, the people are going to get $4. And once we know that one part of the ratio is $4, it's really easy to see that because Gia gets 3 parts of the ratio, she gets 3 times 4 or $12. And because Ben gets 2 parts of the ratio, he gets 2 times 4 or $8. There is another way you can approach these questions by doing them with fractions. And if you read through this method and it vibes with you a bit better, I'm happy for you to do it if you're really comfortable working with fractions. I prefer the first method, so that's the way I'm going to do the examples. Let's jump into some examples. Divide 54 meters in a ratio of 4 to 5. So step 1 is always total parts, which is 4 plus 5, which is 9. Now, the second step is one part. What's one part worth? If the total is 54, and we have 9 parts, we can do 54 divided by 9, which is 6. So that means one part of this ratio is worth 6. So now to divide the 54 into the 2 different amounts, 4 parts to 5, we just need to do 6 times 4 and 6 times 5, and we'll get 24 and 30. And you just want to maybe do a quick check at the end that these 2 numbers add up to what you started with, because they should. It doesn't matter if we have multiple parts in the ratio, like this one, 2 to 1 to 3, instead of just 2 numbers in our ratio. This process works exactly the same. What's the total number of parts we have? 2 plus 1 plus 3, or 6 again. What's one part of the ratio worth? 300 divided by 6. 50. So that means the first person gets 2 times 50, the second person gets 1 times 50, and the third person gets 3 times 50, or 150 and 150. And we just check that that adds up to 300. Yes, it does. We're in business. A slightly different variation of this question can give you information that is not the total. So in both of these questions, we had the total amount of money, we had the total amount of meters. Whereas in this question, we only know the amount for the cups of rice. We don't know the total amount of water and rice together, but we know that we have 2 cups of rice for every 3 cups of water. So our step 1 is just going to change a bit here. We don't need to add up the total number of parts because we already know that there are 2 cups of rice in our ratio. So then when we work out the value of one part of our ratio now, instead of dividing that number 10 by the total, 5, we divide it by 2 because we only want to divide the number of cups of rice by the number of cups of rice in the ratio. So in this case, but this piece of information that we've worked out here, 5, that is still the value of 1 part of the ratio. So now we can work out that for every 10 cups of rice, we have 5 times 3 cups of water, or 15 cups of water. Again, if we have the number of cups of water this time, we're going to do 3 cups of water, 12 divided by 3 equals 4. Therefore, the ratio is 2 times 4 to 12, or 8 to 12. We'll always be doing this step where we're dividing two numbers. It just depends on whether or not we have the total or we have just a part of the ratio. Pause here, take 5 minutes to have a go at these questions. When you come back, I'll give you the answers. All right, here we go. Total parts, 5 plus 2 plus 3 is 10. 1 part, 200 divided by 10 equals 20. And therefore ratio is 5 times 20, 2 times 20, 3 times 20. Oh, that shouldn't be a times, that should be a ratio. And then we've got 100, 40, and 60. And that adds up to 200, so we're in business. Here's another one of those ones where you don't get the total, you just get the amount of blue paint. So we've got blue to yellow is 4 to 5, and we know we have 12 liters of blue. So to work out 1 part, we're going to do 12 divided by 4. 1 part of this ratio is 3 liters. Therefore, the ratio is going to be 12 liters of blue paint to 5 times 3 liters of yellow paint, which is 15 liters of yellow paint. Alright guys, you are going to jump into the practice questions here. And get through as many of those as you can. If you get through all of these and are looking for something else to do, we didn't finish off the simplifying ratios questions in our previous lesson, so you're welcome to go back and do those. Thanks guys.